Everybody here is going to be here. I have no messages saying I can't get on, or at least none that I am seeing. Let me check my email one last time before I start teaching. Yeah, all right, cool. If they're late, they're late. Don't need this. All right. Before we get too far into things, this is something we covered, and I've been covering a lot lately, but I want to reiterate gripping your stick. How you grip your stick is very, very important for power generation, because power generation is a kinetic chain that starts at the bottom of your feet and moves all the way out to the end of the stick. Every single joint between the ground and your stick is a place where power falls away because they are loose connections. So the strongest way to hold your stick in your hand is to not grip it like this. The strongest way to grip it is to take your stick, place it at the joint of your fingers, so it is sitting between your fingers and the pads of your hand. Then roll your hand into your stick. Now, this is important for two reasons. If we're using a stick, just a stick, it creates the strongest mechanical structure and grip within your hand. If we are using a blade, when you hold a blade, notice how the handle fits your hand and creates proper edge alignment. So what we're doing by doing this is ensuring, one, proper grip integrity, and two, proper edge alignment. Now, on edge alignment, one of the big things to understand about power generation and hitting a target is the same mechanics we use for proper edge alignment are the same mechanics we use for power generation. Where things change is at the very end of the strike. With a cut, we slice. This drawing motion, pulling that blade through our target. With a hit, we don't draw our weapon through. We push our weapon through. Everything else is the same. All right? Does that make sense to everybody? All right. Now, next thing I want to talk about is safety. And Mr. Mayor, this is specifically the parts I wanted you to pay attention to. All right. One of the big problems that develops with any kind of stick fighter or sword fighter, weapon fighter, what have you, is what we do often can destroy our elbows. It can give, at a minimum, it can give us tennis elbow. At a maximum, it can tear tendons and blow your joints out, as well as anybody doing an arm bar on you. All right? So a very important safety tip, no matter what we are doing, when it comes to a lever weapon, we have to protect our joints. So we never, ever, ever want to hit with our arm at full extension. This will destroy your elbow. Always have a bend in your elbow, even if it's just a 5-degree bend to get your maximum reach. because the further out you are from your target and the more you extend that elbow, the more stress it puts on that elbow and the more damage you can do it. Give yourself a shock absorber when you strike. This is very, very important. And the older we get, the easier it is for us to damage. So, damage ourselves. All right. So, what is Cinco Teros? Cinco Teros is the first 5 angles. But I want you to take this angle concept and throw it out of your mind. My personal belief is the angle concept, the way it is frequently described, is bad translation to English. I want you to instead think of Cinco Teros as mechanics. All right. Now, most FMA systems, 8 to 12 angles, depending on what. However, every single one of those angles can be expressed through the mechanics in Cinco Teros. And I'm going to demonstrate those on actually, I'll just demonstrate them in the air. Let me adjust this camera so I'm completely on screen. Weapon leg forward, typically. And we'll address that in a little bit. From a starting position, whatever your guard is, and I'll get in the guard. Actually, let me get in the guard right now. Many different systems have many different guards, starting positions, whatever you want to call them. There are very specific reasons why I start where I start. I do not hold my stick straight up and down. I typically do not load my stick in a rear position. For instance, in PTK, you'll see this a lot. All right? There's nothing wrong with that. It fits within their strategy and it works in the situations they're discussing. That is, so we're clear, that's not a criticism. It's just it's the way they do things. I prefer here. Notice my stick is at an angle. I'm not holding it straight up and down. I'm not holding it at my center. I'm sure you've seen this guard before. All right. The reason I do this is because our stick, we shouldn't be blocking with our stick. It should be one of the last things we do is try to block. If you're blocking, it means you kind of screwed up. It means you're being passive. It means you're behind the 8 ball. It is better to avoid with footwork incoming strikes. And if we have to block, move your body around the stick so that you don't have to move your stick as far and take yourself out of position. Exactly, Mr. Mayor. Think about this. Whenever you throw something, to throw it properly with power, with intensity, with speed, your arm has to be in a certain position. All right? The further away from that position we are when doing something defensive, the more distance we have to cover to be offensive, therefore, the more time it takes. However, if you use your body rotation to hide behind your stick, your arm is already cocked and ready to go. So when their weapon hits, you can fire immediately into the open line. Pretty straightforward, right? All right. Now, what is Cinco Teros? You'll see 2 very popular methods of Cinco Teros described. I will show you the one I prefer least first, and then I'll show you the one I prefer the most. All right. The most common variation of Cinco Teros is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. The version I prefer more is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll explain why. The first version, where everything is angular, angle cut, angle cut, angle cut, angle cut. I want you to think about this. For those of you that have done a lot of sparring, how often do you actually hit somebody with this or this? How often? Almost never. What you'll frequently find is this is a lead-in to something else. The other version, angular, angular, flat, flat, thrust, is all the mechanics for hitting every single portion of the body. And this is why I don't want you to think about this as angles. I want you to think about this as mechanics. Because if I am hitting you in the head, angle 1, this is the exact same mechanic to hit you in the arm with an angle blow, or in the leg with an blow, or in a hip, an angle blow. The only difference is where I'm moving my body, height. All right? Same thing on the other side. So we have a forehand that hits all up and down this side of the body, an angular forehand. Here, we have an angular backhand that hits all up and down the body. Make sense? Angular forehand, angular backhand. Horizontal forehand, horizontal backhand. Anywhere on the body. Horizontal, 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 horizontal. And the thrust. So really, and this is something that if you've attended any of my other seminars before, you know, I really say there are only 3 shots. There's a forehand, a backhand, and a thrust. That's it. And when you get into certain shots, like in other martial arts, like Corbado, that is really a forehand that turns into a backhand and strikes on the return. That's this shot, where I'm hitting behind my opponent. But it's not the most important. And it also takes a lot of time to develop that particular shot with body mechanics to hit with power. So when we're looking at Cinco Teros, we want to realize that everything is, I don't want to necessarily use the term counteroffensive, because counteroffensive describes a large philosophy about an approach to the fight. But one of the keys behind Cinco Teros is that your attack and your defense are essentially the same moves. We are attacking the attack, not defending the attack. Does that make sense to everybody? So let's start with this number 1. I am striking. This number 1, everybody see that on camera well enough? So this number 1, this line, this movement is both an attack and a defense. The defense is not a block. The defense is I'm counter-attacking his attack. So if he is swinging at me to attack me, this angular shot is going to hit him. I'm going to hit his arm. I'm going to attack the attack. I'm not going to worry about a block. If I'm blocking, I'm behind the power curve. But the moment I see that he's starting to attack, and even if it is a feint to set me up, if I go to block it, it takes me out of position, which is what he wants. However, if he raises his arm to feint, and then I attack his arm, it doesn't matter whether he was actually intending to hit me or not. I'm still able to effectively strike my target. And from there, move on. Same idea with the backhand. However, I'm using that. We can call it an angle 2 if we want, but right now we're just going to call it a backhand. That angular backhand can be a block, and I hate to use the term block, but I am, as I said, counter-attacking. He's moving. Hey, he's reaching in with his left hand to check my attack. I hit it. Now, I want you to focus on something I just did there. I did not reach out and just strike with my arm. I turned my body. This body rotation is key. Every movement we make, we should be hiding behind our weapon. Hiding behind our weapon allows us to attack the opponent. Does that make sense? So one of the big keys that we need to focus on when playing with these concepts is body rotation. This comes up in a lot of martial arts, body rotation, whether it's for power generation or for throwing somebody or for grappling, whatever. We're always going to be looking at body rotation. Here, we use body rotation to hide behind our sword. So how am I getting this body rotation? Let me lower this to my feet because this is important. I'm not just twisting at the hips and rotating my body like it's a turret in a tank. I'm turning my feet. I'm literally switching from a right foot forward stance to a left foot forward stance facing in another direction. I am changing my orientation to the target. Does that make sense? I did start the recording on this, didn't I? Yes, okay. Just wanted to make sure. So, let's look at mechanics of power generation. Because this concept, forehand, backhand, thrust, that's easy. We don't need to spend 1,000 years drilling that idea. We've all got that, right? Too easy. Who here has boxed? Traditional Western boxing. Okay. How do little guys that weigh 120 pounds throw these incredibly powerful punches? Does anybody know? Somebody give me an answer.
The thing what you just showed us, the hips and the feet, right? Shifting
Right,
the power.
right. Here's the key. Here is the real key. It's your rear foot. You push off your rear foot. That drives your weight behind the strike. So this is kind of complicated from a right-handed side, and I want to see if I can get this on camera. And I'm actually, because I'm right under my ceiling fan, I'm going to transition to a much shorter stick. I'll pretend I'm doing Serrata. If we're in a left leg forward stance, this driving forward, driving off the back leg becomes very easy to do. However, when we're in a right leg stance, we have to still drive off that rear leg. But the way we accomplish that is by pushing through and turning until we are pushing with that same side leg. So we get this. See how my whole body turns, but it starts at the floor and drives up. So whether I'm hitting here or here, see how my body rotates? I coil and uncoil. Yes. Yes. And you, Brian, take it easy on your elbows, please. Any questions on that? Do you need any clarification on that? Wow, I'm either the best teacher in the world or you're all aboard. So a big part of this is elbow transitions. Now, I want you to think of a watik. Does everybody know what a watik is? All right. And how many of you have seen like WeCaf, where they go at each other like ceiling fans? Where they're.
Did you call that a Wittick? What was that, Brian?
Yes, watik.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah. All right. So in sport, we have super fast, whipping it around. All right. In real fighting, the watik is generated by moving the elbow across the body and turning the weapon.
So it's similar to that pivot with the punch, correct? That's where the power's coming from, the pivot?
Yes. Exactly. If I were to throw, let's say, a straight right, see how my elbow turns?
Yes, sir.
Now when I do it with a stick, because we've added an extra joint in between what we're striking with and the target, we use our elbow in the opposite line. So what I want you to do is kind of line up the tip of your stick with their left eye, or actually their right eye. So the tip of your stick is pointing to their right eye on your guard. I want you to take your elbow and you're going to drive your elbow across your body while pivoting your body.
That's so much power in such a little movement, so efficient.
Yeah. Now, hey, Ryan, don't hit with the back. All right? We're hitting with the front of our stick. Just like it's the blade of a sword. This is going to give us the maximum amount of power in this range. If we roll it, we end up losing power.
It looks about what percentage? That looks half as strong.
It's amazing how much it bleeds off. So you're seeing that this forehand blow, the power is coming from my elbow. Now here's a Here's a little subtlety that's not being seen. My stick is not gripped in a death grip. My stick is relaxed in my hand. At the moment of impact, my hand tightens. And see that snap that creates? It's like cracking a whip almost.
I was just gonna say very similar.
So when I turn my elbow and squeeze my hand, see how hard you can hit in that short little distance?
Yes. What part of the stick? It looks like you're only hitting with a very small part. I was gonna say a couple inches.
Yes. I'm only hitting with the very end of my stick.
So literally all that power is getting generated from the ground up into that little part of the stick onto the opponent, correct?
Yes.
Understood.
That's exactly how you break bones with a stick.
And that's what we're looking for, to break them down like they're a piece of furniture, one piece at a time?
Yep. Now, I'm hitting the target here because you can see it easily. I don't really like hitting the head. Now
Why?
Why? Because,
Why, sir?
yes, because heads do this. They roll.
Yes, they
This is
do.
the hardest part of our body. However, if I strike you in the collarbone, I will break that collarbone.
7 pounds of pressure is all you need.
Right. So the head generally is not my favorite target.
Then why are people always headhunting? That makes no sense to me. You told me to do better, like you're teaching right now. Why does everybody always headhunt, Kanat? I don't get it.
It's something I've never been able to figure out.
You and me both.
You know, when we box, we hit the head. We shake that computer. But we're not talking about sport.
No, we're not trying to box in an altercation. We're trying to get in and out, correct, sir?
Correct.
So we're not dancing around. No flash.
Right.
Bing, bang, boom.
What were you about to, Steven, you had your hand raised?
Most people target the head because not only is it the biggest thing we differentiate, but where we're typically in a fight, most lower ranks and other stuff, and even some higher ranks too, sometimes just focus on the person's eyes and face instead of, soft vision. So you're going to hit the thing you're focused on, the head.
So similar to tunnel vision and like knife fixation, they're just looking to pop somebody in the face. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That makes total sense.
There is a combination that I throw that I find very, 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 very effective. I do target the head with my very first strike because I'm doing it to create a reaction. Here, and now my elbow, once I've reached out to the eye, my elbow turns to hit the collarbone. Look, they block it, and you break the collarbone. Oh, oh.
That is sneaky, Kanata. Can you go a little bit slower, sir?
1,
2. Boom. Wow.
1, 2. I'm overemphasizing the body drop for power.
You meaning dropping your body weight?
Yep. See how I'm dropping in?
I see you're twisting, creating the power, and you're dropping the weight, bringing the stick right down on the target. Is that what you're doing?
Yes.
So the first strike to the head is kind of like a setup for the second strike more than.
Yeah. But
than-
also think about this. Think about one of the reasons this is one of my favorite combinations. This could also be block and fire, or strike and fire.
So everything is everything. When you make that movement, it's under the assumption you're just responding to what your opponent's doing.
No, I'm not responding. I'm taking advantage.
That was my question. Are you like preemptively, like you're already in it, and I know I need to strike, and now that's what you're doing?
Yes.
Okay, I understand now.
And this is a mindset thing much more so than anything else. Remember, we're attacking our defense is attacking the attack. So if we look at this in most traditional systems, he's attacking me with this hand, swinging an angle 1. I'm going to roof block, follow that up with an angle 1. Everybody's done this. Yes? Roof block, angle 1.
Agreed. We call it a lift drop. It's the same thing.
Instead of blocking, we attack and then hit. We attack the attack and then strike the open target.
God, I missed that. Sorry,
sorry.
guys. I don't want to talk over anybody. I missed that. Can you do that again? That was so sick.
Can everybody mute their mics because every time Brian speaks, it switches to other people. After you speak, just mute your mic.
All right, this is what I'm doing. It's the same motion as a roof block, but instead of blocking, I'm striking the limb that's attacking me. Now look at the position my elbow is in. I take this elbow and I drive it hard across my body and rotate.
So destruction, taking the hand, taking the collarbone, done.
Yep.
That's so sick. I love it. Thank you, sir.
Any questions about this?
Yes. Do you suggest we practice that with both sides?
Yeah, absolutely. You should practice everything with both sides.
Should it,
Absolutely.
or ought it be like 50-50? Do we do it 10 each? Like make something up? Like not favoring a side, I guess is my proper question.
Yeah, it's whatever you're comfortable with and whatever your goals are. Now, personally, I think you should master mechanics with one side. Once you have mastered those mechanics on one side, then practice them on the other side. Because in an altercation, you're going to rely on your dominant side.
Very good, honest information from experience. Thank you.
All right.
Time out. Hey, Brian Zink, whenever you hit Bob, the camera goes to you, brother. You gotta mute your mic.
Hey, Brian Zink, can you mute your mic unless you're asking a question?
I'm sorry, I had it muted.
There we go. There we go. Dutry stepped off camera for a moment. All right.
Hey, Brian, I have a question.
Yes, please.
How do you incorporate this with someone who's like super aggressive, pushing forward, like really charging at you, like full blast, with like ones and twos? You know what I mean?
That's a very good question, and it comes down to your feet. Remember, on the ad copy, it said simple does not mean easy. Angulation. Angulation, angulation, angulation. He charges forward. I am going to step forward with my left leg, with my lead leg or my left leg, depending on where I am positioned relative to him. It's going to be one of those things that happens in the moment. But let's say I'm standing like I am now, flat-footed. I step and turn.
So your footwork is getting you out of trouble?
Pardon?
Your footwork is getting you out of trouble?
Always.
Understood.
Always. The thing behind footwork and this type of fighting is that we want to always make it so that it is very difficult for them to hit us with anything powerful. So we're always looking to change angles on our opponent. So again, remember just a few moments ago, I was talking about how I like to throw at the eye and then turn it over and hit the other side. This creates the reaction that gives me the opening. But what this can also be used for is to cover my movement. I throw at the eye while I'm stepping. These happen simultaneously. So now I'm in the position I want to be. Does that make sense?
Does that fit almost into like a distraction?
You could call it a distraction, but I don't faint.
I was gonna say it's not a feint though.
Yeah, no, I want you guys to understand this. If you ever fight me, I don't throw fakes. I think they're a waste of time.
That's why you're scary, dude. I've seen you spar.
All right. Anything I throw with the intention to hit. So if you block this shot to your eye, great. That's fine. I got you where I want you. You are being receptive. I am now ahead of the game. So when I make this, that's when I'm moving. That's when I've achieved my angle. And from here, just like hitting this target here, now I'm here or here. It's the same motion, different target. And if there's anything that you take away from this seminar, same motion, different target. Same motion, different target. Same motion, different target. Brand that in your brain. Mechanically, there is no difference between this and this, except the height at which I throw it. There is no
Just
need.
for my brain, Brian, I want to say it out loud. Same motion, different target.
Yes. That's it. I cannot overemphasize how important this concept is. Same motion, different target. This is at the heart of Cinco Teros. Same motion, different target, different purpose. Now, I keep using this angle one and starting here as an example, but why? It is the most common way we're going to do things, the most common place we're going to attack. So,
Statistically, right, Brian? Statistic?
yeah, statistically and naturally, there's a reason in all systems that's angle one. No matter how you throw it, you go into the jungles of Africa and you will see a gorilla pick up a stick and go, arr! They will do it.
So true, so true. That's a gross motor movement, right?
Right, it's a gross motor movement. But because we are higher primates, we learn how to refine things and make that more efficient.
So we use our higher faculties and use the imagination and things to come up with different ways.
Yes.
Now, what is your thoughts on the body only moves a certain amount of ways?
It's something I've been saying for years. You know, there is only one true martial art. All other martial arts are expressions of the one true art through climate, culture, and technology.
Understood.
When we look at what Cinco Teros is, forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand, thrust. You can do every single thing you need to do combatively with those movements. Now, let me explain why you should focus on this shit. How many times have we seen in an FMA demo this into a puño, into some kind of cool thing, maybe a disarm, and back up and all of this? How often have we seen this kind of stuff?
Often. It's almost like it's scripted these days, like it's a sequence, like a dance.
Right. Now, what did we accomplish through all of that mess?
Maybe some brain training.
No. I want you guys to think about this. What was the end goal of that? So.
Oh, you mean like going around a circle or draw a straight line? Like you want to get to your goal right now?
We block. We do some kind of counter. And then we attack. That's a lot of process and a lot of skill development to really use this puño and your body motion to be able to accomplish this goal. However, if instead of blocking and doing this movement and the arch, what I do is my angle one, boom, smash the arm. Oh, look, with a full through strike, look where it put me. Call it into the number 2. There goes the collarbone. Oh, look where it is now. Back in angle 1 position. He's done.
Brian, did you frame on purpose putting your hand on Bob's shoulder?
Yeah, but it really doesn't matter. It's just what I did.
I get what you're saying. I'm just seeing exactly what you're like you said, I'm seeing what you're doing, but I understand the concepts that you're throwing at us. These are brilliant.
Thank you. I might frame out just because, when I say just because it works for me. And have any of you ever heard of cut and cover? All right. For those of you that have not heard of cut and cover is a big concept that sort of developed in the 90s. James Keating was really big on pushing this idea. All right. And it would be that we would cut something and then we'd cover it to avoid spray. However, what I have found,
I don't want to cut you off. Do you mean so like you're moving your hat out of the way because something's going to hit the ceiling?
No, I'm protecting myself from getting blood spray in my eyes.
That's okay. So you're putting like you're literally covering your eyes.
What I'm doing is I'm covering the wound that I just made.
See, if you didn't point that out, I would never have known that.
But here's what I personally took from the cut and cover exercise and how I feel it is most useful. We're striking, and now we've just got control of that limb. It's a great way to train to grab the arm. So even if I'm not grabbing the arm, even if I choose not to take this kind of control, it's just a good habit.
I was just going to say good habits. Yes.
All right.
Hey, Brian, if you were, so kind of back to Mr. Rosado's question, if you're late to the party, would you go puño instead of trying to get with the tip on that hand?
Yes. And that's actually an excellent question and something that should be brought up. Remember, I said, think about these as mechanics, not angles, not shots, mechanics. The mechanic between this and this is exactly the same thing. Now, what you saw was me take my stick and do this. In the first one, in my mind, I'm striking with the stick. In the second one, I'm using my puño to intercept. No physical difference in mechanics.
That same notion, different target, different purpose, and mechanics, not angles.
Yes. So I'm going to use this outside arm here for ease of the camera. Typically, this would be across to the other side, but because this is a Zoom seminar, I'm going to use this arm just for ease of what we're seeing. Strike, puño. Strike, puño. It's the same thing.
Just different timing. You're late to the party. Same motion, or same notion, different target.
Yes.
Same motion, different target.
So,
yep.
Oh, look, I've intercepted here. And now, look. I can strike with the puño. I can pull out and strike with the stick. Exact same idea. A little bit of change in footwork. But I'm not really going to emphasize that footwork too much because we all come from different systems. I'm not going to give you one more set of footwork to friggin' try to integrate into what you do.
Thank you.
But what you can do is this simple idea of, I'm not doing footwork, I'm just moving my body out of the way. And if you think about things like that, your feet are going to tend to naturally do the right thing. Or
Is
at least
that
the
because
right
most
thing.
people walk around every day, Brian? We're just going to do what we naturally do?
Yes. Yes. So, any questions on this?
So timing. Where does timing come into this? Let's say you miss your opportunity, and timing and recovery. Like, let's say you're having a hard time reading the guy, and you miss. You know what I'm saying? You're maybe you're
Oh.
anticipating too much, and then
All right. That is actually a wonderful question. This is where we need to make a shift in our thought process. We have to go from being counter-offensive to offensive. Now, there's not a lot of difference in this, but there's a difference in order of operations. Who here does algebra? Everybody here studied algebra in school, right?
Yes, sir.
You know, if you do the things in the wrong order, you get the wrong answer.
Same thing in a kata or a form, correct, sir?
So, if I am being counter-offensive, I am attacking his attack. If I am being offensive, I am attacking him and then attacking his defense. I am attacking his response to my attack.
So Bob is a dummy. He doesn't react or respond. You're going to shift your thought process. And this is really good stuff. Really good.
Yeah, it's just, we've done whatever. I realize that he's going to be passive, so to say. So how do I deal with passive? Excuse me. What I have to do is I have to instigate a response. I have to instigate something from him and then take advantage of that. This kind of goes into the three ranges of FMA. And I've covered this a lot in other seminars, but we're going to talk about it here because this is a really good point to address it. Largo, long range, out here. All right. You can't even really see me. A lot of people like to play Largo at where, just your weapons are crossing. Myself personally, I like to think of Largo as my ability to reach out and touch your hand. You can reach out and touch my hand, but we really can't get to each other's body. Now, Largo is where we figure out how our opponent fights. This is the intelligence gathering phase.
How long does that typically last? 1 second, a minute? How long?
How long does it take for, a life to disappear? It's
half a second, man.
It depends. It depends on you. It depends on your opponent. So in that range, here I'm learning about my opponent. Out here is one of the few places where I won't fake as such, but I will twitch. I will do something, say we're at long range, I'll do that. I want to see how you react. I want to see what your response is. I'm gathering intelligence on how you move, how you operate. Victory rarely happens out here. We move into Medio. This is where everybody dies, but it's also the range I'm best at because I'm a T-Rex, big head, short arms. All right. It's the range that I've had to become very, very comfortable fighting in. Like you guys that know Dean Franco, he's shorter than me by a couple inches, but not much. But he's got like 4 inches on my arms. And 4 inches is like a universe when it comes to this kind of stuff. So the only way I would personally, if I were involved in, some kind of, contest with Dean, is I'm not going to let him play his range game. That's, and I assume everybody here knows what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, and does it fall into different purpose as well at all?
Pardon?
Does this fall into different purpose?
I'm not sure exactly what you mean by different purpose.
I wrote that down as part of my notes. So the different purpose would be now this guy's got 4-inch reach on me and I have a different purpose now. Now I got to take this limb out or I have to do XYZ because the opponent is showing me something different.
No, I get what you're saying, and that is sort of correct.
That's why I'm asking. I'm not fully clear, Kanata.
Yeah. Just hold on and see if what I continue to say here makes sense.
Understood.
Answers this for you. So at this medial range or at Largo range, I figure out how my opponent moves. I figure out what he does in reaction to my movements. That is going to tell me how to close into medial range. In medial range, this is where I take control of the fight, whether it is counter-offensive or offensive, depending on, what the energy I'm getting is. From there, I can either finish my opponent in this range, if everything goes right, or this range tells me how to get into corto and finish my opponent in corto. Everything that your opponent does is a question. Everything you do is the answer to that question. The question that we have to ask ourselves is, are we making the right answer to that question?
Only
now,
you can answer that, correct, sir?
I'm sorry, did somebody say something or was that an echo?
Only we can make that decision, right? The correct answer?
Right. And the way you get to those correct answers is you get with your friends, your training partners, and you spar it out. You've got to do this in real time. You've got to do this stuff against resisting opponents.
What do you recommend? I'm going to Harlem next month and I bought tack trainers. I see you use Voltbase a lot. When we start to go a little bit harder in our sparring, what tools do you recommend, Kanata, for that?
I recommend rattan and fencing helmets.
Because fencing helmet. I've seen people use bike helmets. Why is that not a good idea? Motorcycle helmet. Why is that not a good idea?
Those are fine. It's just I like fencing helmets.
That's your preference?
Yeah, just protect your noodle.
Gotcha. Protect the computer.
Right. Broken fingers heal. Broken bones heal.
I got monkey tape. Don't worry.
Yeah. Those things heal. But I believe in paying a price for your mistakes. It's just
learn.
Very few people want to train that way anymore. And I don't judge them for it. I really don't. Because there are safer alternatives. You can use padded sticks, padded sparring gear. And I don't judge you for that. I really don't.
Does that go back to the never-ending math problem that's algebra, that you're just trying to get to that answer quicker? And if you spar with that stuff, you can get to that answer. It's just going to take longer?
Yeah, it really does. And it cuts down on mistakes. It really cuts down on mistakes. Because you will make mistakes when wearing protective gear that you won't make.
Because you're not paying the price.
Right. And here's one other thing to add to that. If you are not wearing protective gear, I guarantee you, unless you've got a coach that really puts his foot in your ass, you are going to spend your time out here at Largo freaked out, trying not to close.
Is that fear of losing, Brian, or is that just like scared?
It's just fear of getting hit.
Just fear of losing, fear of getting smacked, right?
Right. It takes a lot of balls to go from Medio or from Largo to Medio. It really does. You have got to shack up and step in.
And isn't that why people get killed there?
Yep. And they also don't know what to do, because whenever you are striking somebody, you are open somewhere.
So whoa, say that again, Brian. So if I strike you, that means I have an opening that maybe their friend can take,
Or I can take.
or even you. Okay.
Right. Because remember, nothing we're doing here is an instant off switch. Even if you take a man's head, his body can continue that motion and give you a lethal wound.
Unfortunately, I've seen video of you. Yes, you are correct, sir.
Even the samurai knew this. You know, there's something in Hagakure about even if your head is taken, your commitment should be such that your body continues your action. Loosely translated.
That just gave me chills. I like it.
So, training with friends with things like rattan sticks that hurt and sting give you enough psychic pressure to overcome that when it becomes a real conflict, you're kind of used to that.
Does that also fall into the Olympic system and the fight or flight response? And now I'm used to it. So when it really happens, I don't have to think about it.
Yes, it is to put it in a psychological term, we could say that training with minimal protective gear and painful things is state training.
Say
right.
state, S-T-A-T.
State. S-T-A-T-E, state.
Understood. State training.
Yes. All right. So,
Hey, Brian.
yes, sir.
Obviously, you know, my background's a little different. I'm coming from SCA heavy fighting,
Correct.
where, you know, you do that without armor, you're getting broken limbs and you're going to the hospital and you're not learning shit.
Correct.
Is that just the difference in the training implement, or?
Yeah, it really is. Rattan like this is safe. It just sucks unless you get hit in the hand.
Such a good question, Brian. Such a good question.
When you move on to rattan like this, which is
that'll break something.
Which is, you know, like an SCA standard sword, this will break shit.
That'll break a bone.
Yeah. So we use the light stuff. This is why we use this.
Is that the bruise you posted? Was the little one, right? You got a bruise from a student. You said you were actually proud. You're like, he got me.
Yeah,
but
yeah. That was just a little bruise from.
That was just a tiny bruise from a rattan stick, right?
Right.
That's what we're looking for, and that's called state training.
Right.
Gotcha. Thank you, Brian.
Well, state training specifically refers to training a mental state.
Thank you.
Mental state where something's gonna bite you. If you make a mistake, you're gonna pay for it.
Right.
Got you.
So it takes a lot of cojones to step in and get hit, or not get hit, ideally.
And that's because your footwork would hopefully prevent that.
Yes. If you do everything right,
you're good.
Yeah, because here, all right, let's kind of rewind things a little bit. Here is the progression. We'll start with the counter-offensive progression. He attacks. He initiates an attack. Let's say it is that angle one. My primary purpose is, my primary thing that I'm going to do at this range is I am not going to block. I'm going to avoid and counterattack, or avoid and counterattack. Either way is successful. Either way works. From that counterattack, then I can move on to finish. If I am being offensive, I need to attack him in a way that elicits a response that I can then take advantage of.
Kanata, where does anatomy fit in? Targeting, anatomy, does that fit into this, or am I going off track?
You're going off track.
Sorry.
No worries. No worries. Questions are good. All right. And I guess in a way, this sort of answers your question. When I am being offensive, and I'll tell you this, because I don't care who you are, it's still going to work on you. All right. I'm going to take the tip of my stick, the tip of my knife, my fingers, whatever, and I'm going to attack the eye on the other side of your body. I'm going to do it. And you are going to react one way or another. Or if you don't, well, then I've hit you in the eye with a big piece of lumber, or I've stuck a piece of steel into your brain.
So then you have to be the aggressor. You have to initiate things. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, yeah. If I'm being the initiator, I would literally say 90 times out of 10, and I'll tell you this: my first shot is going to be that. It's just going to be, because you have to respect that. I don't care who you are. You have to respect me taking a stick and putting it in your eye. Or
There has to be a response. Either respond or get hit.
Right. You have to deal with that in some fashion. Generally, as a trained fighter, myself, this could be a fight ender. That's it. That could be the end of the fight.
I was just about to say, I'm sorry to cut you off, guys. So you're looking at this under a Are we talking sparring, or are we talking like real, like let's
No,
begin?
I'm talking real life fighting. All right.
Copy.
Let's take this.
Because that will really destroy somebody, off the bat.
Yeah.
That's why I asked about anatomy. That gets you in the eye. The fight's done.
This idea. All right. Fight's done. If you react and block it,
fight's done.
So do not think about anything I'm telling you here as stick specific. This is a vehicle for teaching. It doesn't matter if I'm using, and yes, you can hit people with a stick. Do not get me wrong.
But same motion, different target.
Same motion, different target, minor variations for length of weapon, style of weapon, what you're having to focus on.
And aggression, no, and aggression, and more like you're the one, being the.
Right.
You're not waiting for an attack. You're attacking.
Correct.
Excuse me, Kanata. So we're already in assumption. We've already gone past words where this is like an assumption already. We're already like, now it's on. Like, we need to get this done and get out so I can go home safe.
Correct.
Okay.
So let's kind of play with this idea here, since we're just to kind of expound on this as a, yeah, I've got a trainer in my pocket. Good. All right. So all right. What do we have here? We have a strike, a step, and a hit. Now we have a knife. Strike, step, hit. This is not Piper. This is not Medusa. This is not anything.
This is same motion, different target.
Yeah, and different weapon.
Completely different weapon.
Flashlight. Not a knife. Strike, step, hit. Break the ribs. Barong or machete. Strike, hit, thrust. Why did I thrust? Well, because it was longer and it's just where I was.
And the opponent told you where he was open.
Right.
I thrusted because that's where it was open.
Right. So what we're looking at here is this simple template of movement. And this is why Cinco Teros is so important. This simple template of movement. Diagonal, diagonal, horizontal, horizontal, thrust. Using our elbow to quickly transition in the lines. Even when here, look, throwing at the head. This is a classic kind of, I don't want to call this a feint. I want to call it a misdirection, which we have to look at as very different things. I am throwing this shot mechanically. My target that I am thinking about that I want to hit is over on this side of his body. I'll feed in here and open it up. But the transition is from that elbow. Or I'm hitting him here, 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 here. It's all the same. So
Just a different target.
Transition.
What were you saying about dropping your weight? Could you also go high-low as well? Different targets, same motion?
Yep. Absolutely.
So the high-low concept comes in play as well. Wow.
Yes.
That's very, I don't want to say sneaky. I like the word deceiving. That's not considered a broken strike, is it?
No, I don't believe so. And let me
I don't
show you
either.
why.
It looks so sick, though. Please tell me.
This is a long transition. Watch carefully my shoulder. Pay attention to how my shoulder moves. When I'm throwing this, forward, back, coiling, uncoiling,
Push pull
bending, contracting.
is coil and uncoil similar to push pull.
You could think about it that way.
I put in my notes like that's the way I would assimilate to it.
Brian, one
Yes.
question. When you make a transition, I never see you twirl. Like you never twirl it. So you just constantly keep that thing in that forward position.
I fight from here. All right. And let me show you something.
It almost looks like you're either open or closed. You're either open or closed. Is that?
You're all familiar with a false lead, right? I almost fight from a false lead.
No, I'm not familiar with that concept, or
All
not
right.
as that.
You would know it as goofy foot.
Gotcha.
Right leg forward, left leg back, hips forward, weapon forward. My left shoulder is leading forward. All right. That's typically where I fight from.
So goofy foot would be your left shoulder and your left foot and then your left shoulder leading as well.
Yes, but because I'm using, all right, if you go back to JKD, Bruce Lee would do this. All right, he called this the false lead. Because my footwork is in what a left-handed boxer would be standing, but my upper body is doing what a right-handed boxer would be doing.
That's why it looks confusing from my view here. That makes so much sense the way you're explaining it.
So with a stick, I bring the shoulder here. The reason I'm doing this is because most of my strikes are going to come from this side. I'm really not worried about any strikes coming to this side because I'm hidden behind my stick. So it comes this way. I pull my shoulder back. Now I'm blocked. All right. Make sense? I don't do stick twirly shit unless I'm doing like Carenza and want to flow and feel good.
I was just about to say that because I watching you for a long time. I don't really see you doing that type of stuff. You know
He
what I mean?
does. He
Like
just
the
doesn't
tail
post
and
it.
twirling around. You know?
Remember, entablada versus patayan. Entablada, man, I will sit here, flow. I love that shit. It feels great. It's good exercise. But when I fight, I'm here. I'm going to hit you, and I'm not going to fuck around. And that's what we should be looking for. We should not be looking to defeat our opponents in the most stylistic way possible. We should be looking to defeat them in the most efficient way possible.
Kanata, is that why we don't see CCTV footage of bad guys doing anything fancy?
Yeah, probably.
They don't do any twirls. They're not doing any crazy footwork.
No.
And their end result is unfortunately what they were going for.
Yeah. On footwork. Can you all see my feet clearly?
Yes, sir.
Now, this is something we spend a lot of time on in Piper. So those of you that study Piper with me or any of the other WPM instructors, this will be familiar to you. Rear heel up, front heel down. Rear heel down, front heel up. This is how I pivot my body.
And now you're saying if you were boxing, you would do that. If you have a stick, you would do that. If you had a knife, you would do that.
Correct.
Got you.
This is something to get very comfortable in, switching. How do you do it fast? You drive your foot down. Drive it. Drive it.
So you're literally pushing your weight down, Brian.
Yes. Does that make sense?
More sense than my mind is blown, dude.
Brian,
and
I gotta
also
go ahead, Nick.
cross training. I see a couple of people that I'm in other classes with. You're connecting dots right now for me. I'm having aha moments left and right. It's amazing.
That's what I try to give people, man. All right.
Somebody else had a question. I cut them off.
Who had a question?
Yeah, really quick, Brian. I'm glad you went back to footwork and heel toe. I'm used to heel toe, but I was in a PTK system where they said the heel should be rooted and it should be hips driving the momentum for striking mechanics, and it's very counterintuitive for me because I'm used to the pivot, the boxer heel toe pivot. But I understand what they mean about driving the hips and trying the mechanics and staying rooted. But
Brother, my cane works the same way. It's the brain. Once we go slow, when we learn how to do it slow and do Tai Chi speed form, the brain, like Brian says, changes, and then we get it. It's just like 2 + 2 = 4. But yes, I understand my cane training because I have that prior training messes my brain up.
All right. Do you know why it's that way?
No idea, sir.
Because of the environment it comes from. It comes from a place where you're in a jungle, not on concrete.
Not the concrete jungle, the real jungle.
Right.
Gotcha.
You know where else this shows up?
No.
It shows up in medieval cultures where they don't have tread on their shoes.
I would not have ever have thought that.
So when you are using a longsword, a European medieval longsword, I pivot on my heels because I don't want to slip in the wet grass or mud, and I don't have tread on my shoes.
Nobody's ever explained that. That's so much sense.
That's why.
I love how you could just grab a sword and just demonstrate with the
So
sword.
sick, right?
African shield, you got it all, bro.
This is my life, guys. This is what, this is what I love. This is my
And you
path.
make it fun, man. You make it fun. That's why we're all here.
Hell yeah, you're the man, Brian.
I appreciate it, guys.
I'll second that.
All right, I got 10 more minutes, and we go over a little longer. We'll go over a little longer.
Little quick question: like when you're doing the twist of the hip, how would you feel about like incorporating a little stomp to emphasize the twist, or you just want to keep your feet grounded the whole time?
If I am twisting my hips, let's adjust this camera angle here. That's a very good question.
That's a good angle, Brian.
All right. Remember what I was talking about when I said dropping your weight. When I am driving to turn my body, I am dropping my weight. See how my shirt's hiding my waist? Watch my belt line. Can we all see my belt line there? Pay attention to my belt line. This is where you'll see it. See how I drop?
That's so quick.
So you don't want to keep your feet. You want to keep your feet on the ground. You don't want to add an extra stomp for extra emphasis.
No.
No, you're not looking to step on their foot then, Brian, right?
Yeah. If I see that you're a foot stomper, if you're one of those guys that likes to do that,
I do that shit a lot.
and if I can time it so that I step on your foot, you're hosed. And a lot of times shit like that will happen incidentally. I see you're that kind of crazy guy. Maybe I don't avoid. Maybe I just step into it and blast you. There's a good chance I'll step on your foot anyway and tear up your ankle.
So we're not looking for it, but if it's there.
You're not a foot stomp fan, I take it.
Pardon?
You're not a fan of the good old foot stomp, huh?
Oh, no. If I'm grappling, in a defense situation, I'm absolutely going to stomp on your foot.
You're just not necessarily looking for it, but you're going to do it if it's there.
Right. So let's kind of go back to the beginning. This is what I want you guys to take from this seminar. Find your position. Find your guard. Whatever it is. From that guard, a forehand strike, a backhand strike at an angle, a horizontal strike, and a thrust. Think about all the ways you can use those. Think about all the ways you can apply power and mechanics, using your mechanics, applying power to those strikes. Do not get caught up with the idea that this angle one is only at the collarbone or the head, because this can be a hand. That can be a knee. It can be a leg. It can be anything. It's a diagonal forehand.
Same motion, different target.
Right. So, think about that.
Get rid of the angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, angle 4, angle 5, and think of it more about mechanics and what's available to you.
Right. And here's the big thing behind that too. If you're in the middle of a fight and you're worried about hitting a guy with a specific angle,
you're fucked.
He's already killed you.
You're way overthinking it.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, this might be a good place for me to ask, seeing as you just introduced the whole different weapon, same motion concept. Obviously, some things are always the same. You hit somebody in the solar plexus with a stick versus with a knife. It's just the type of damage that's different. But are there different targets for different weapons?
You mean like a bladed weapon compared to something that's not?
Yeah, precisely. If I'm using a dagger versus I'm using a sword versus I'm using a club.
All right. There is no target that is inherently better or worse for either. The difference is in the effect that the weapon has that you're using on that target. Does that make sense?
Does that
Yes.
mean like machete cuts, my cane doesn't? So my blunt hit is gonna be different than a slice.
Right.
So it's weapon pending.
So to put it this way, if I use this mechanic and strike you in the neck, collarbone, carotid artery with a barong, that's probably the end of the fight.
And the life.
Yeah. If I hit you with a stick here, well, I've broken your collarbone, but
You'll be fine in 6 weeks.
I will need to do something else to follow up on it if I need to finish you.
And that's where the high-low comes in too. You might go low, right?
Right. And when you get into this high-low concept, since you're bringing it up, we can look at this. We have two distinct styles of striking in most Filipino martial arts. We have broken and fluid strikes. So a broken strike would be this, back to point of origin. A fluid strike would be all the way through. Why would you do that? Your broken strike is great for things like hitting the same spot twice. And why might you do that? Oh, he blocked the first one, so the second one comes in immediately after while he's resetting. Why might I do a fluid strike? Because I want to move through and hit another open target. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you're gonna fluid strike, you're gonna wrap the collarbone, and you're gonna be in position chambered, you're gonna come back and break a rib.
Right. And it's not that one is for one is for the other. It's that they achieve different things in the moment. Because
does that go back to goals, Brian? Does that go back to goals? What our goal is?
It goes back to goals, and it goes back into how your opponent's reacting.
Getting your read on him in Largo.
Yes, exactly.
Money. I like that, man. That you hit the.
All right. That's one way of doing it. I might hit that hit. Might use a broken strike to do that. I might use a fluid strike to hit the opposite hip or leg or knee or whatever. So,
Brian.
Yes.
So, because I'm gonna be testing with live sticks, multiple opponents. So, using the same concepts, if I have multiple opponents, keep it simple, correct? If I using the 5 angles, should I keep it to 2 hits and then move to the next one? Or just max the person.
I cannot give you a rule of thumb for fighting multiple opponents, but what I can say is when fighting multiple opponents, never, ever, ever be defensive.
What do you mean?
Always be aggressive. Bring the attack to them. If you can, corner and line them up. I don't want to fight
Stack them up.
2 guys side by side. Exactly. I want to stack them up. And that might be this.
Now, Brian, do you hit the first guy and then maybe go to the second, go back to the first, then the third?
No, I'm hitting this guy. I'm using him as a shield. I'm going to break his legs and then see what's happening.
So you're going to stack them up and then literally whack that dude and use him as a shield. Got you.
Yeah.
That makes
That's
sense.
what I do. That's what I've done.
It looks like it works.
But that also ties into what he's saying about proper footwork and being behind your weapon, especially when you have to engage multiple opponents before you can stack them up and get an obstacle off them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Facts.
Everybody's on the same page. I love it.
It's like that video with the guy in Africa that they're trying to steal his car and he has a knife and I think it was like 3 or 4 dudes and he fended them off. I don't know if he connected, but
Yeah, that was in South Africa. You're right. I saw that.
He was doing all the right things to get those guys the hell away from him.
Yeah.
Like Brian said, nobody wants to walk into that shit. Who wants to walk? They wanted an easy target. They didn't want to have to fight for it.
Hell yeah.
All right.
It's my favorite class all week.
So does anybody have any questions? I mean, typically I schedule these things for an hour and a half, but I'm happy to go on longer if we have questions and have stuff we want to explore.
Just to bring it back, you said we got when you hitting the strikes, you don't want to ever overextend. You always want to keep your elbow at an angle so you don't mess your own shit up, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. This will destroy your elbow. Even if you don't destroy it while throwing your strongest blows, the damage over time.
Like overextending, like literally
Yes,
a hyperextension, I mean.
Especially Sagitas.
Doing Sagitas.
Yes, especially Sagitas.
And here's like, I generally don't talk shit about systems. However, when you are doing this motion, keep your elbow in so that it is braced against your body. So that when you make this thrust, you're not blowing your elbow out. You're using your body to get
It would
there.
seem like it would be wasted movement to do the first way.
It is, unless you're trying to reach around something.
See, I didn't think of that.
Question, Brian. Is that why some systems have like the bracing strikes for hooks and such?
That's part of it, and it's also for rapid transition.
Ah. Okay.
I slingshot off my hand.
Hey, why are you slapping yourself? I remember that video.
Yeah. So whenever you see me do anything with a weapon, or even if I'm just screwing around doing some Corinza, this is this. I have let in with that one, and I turn it by striking my own bicep to make that turn. You can do it without that if you train it long enough, but it is easiest to get that.
I would
Once you realize the transition's actually coming from the elbow, it's a stylistic thing. It helps. It's very, very Indonesian. So if I'm doing like some silat, you get a lot of this.
So find your guard, forehand, backhand, angle with the horizontal and the thrust. That was 5 total. Think how to use these and apply power and the mechanics, and don't get caught up. And same motion, different target.
Yeah.
That's my last question, sir.
As a shorter fella, that all these guys that I spar are really tall, man. So it's like my problem is finding range because I have it overextended many times and messed my elbows up. So
do
how would
not
you
chase it? And Ryan, here's the key. And this is where you, being shorter, will want to play with the angled version of Cinco Teros, where you're just doing angles, not horizontal and back, angular and horizontal. The reason being, these upward strikes let you hide under and get in close, where you can do that damage.
So you're saying when you're shorter, you want to get in close.
Absolutely. If I'm using a blade, I'm here. I'm coming here to get under my opponent's guard.
Hey, Ryan, also on the short note, my daughter's short too, but I taught her to do a lot of stress coming from under.
Oh, yeah.
I
love a low line thrust like this. These are awesome. Coming from a low line.
Is that because it's already loaded in your hand? It doesn't need a load.
It's hard to see.
It's because why we have brake lights on a car. It's coming straight up.
I do tend to like those, like, if the stick's here, I like to be under their stick.
Yes. And by the way, if you like to be in that under their stick, lead in, play with this, whether it's with a knife or stick or whatever. Play with this concept when you're sparring. Lead in with something, a softball pitch, basically. I want you to react to this so that I can come here. Down and back up. Down, thrust. Down, thrust. And that's dirty as hell.
So make them focus on the eye, and then you're going for the other shot.
Yeah. And if you're thinking about this from a, edged weapon perspective, look. So I'm here. Here's my softball, but there's my. Look at this. In the armpit.
Thanks. Gotcha.
Any questions?
No, sir. You cover everything so thoroughly. I have notes. You blew my mind today, Brian. This is what we want. This is in a good way.
Thank you.
You helped last night, and you actually are connecting dots, even though it's a separate system. And I do things with a cane, maybe not with a stick. Everything you're showing me makes total sense. I may not be able to do it yet, but that's why we practice and train.
Correct.
Definitely, I agree, man. I can't wait to meet you in September, bro.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's going to be awesome.
So
That the
are
New
we-
York thing?
Yeah, at the World Camp, at the Piper Medusa World Camp. And at the
Damn it.
Piper Medusa World Camp, I won't just be doing Piper because, 2 days of nothing but prison system stuff gets a little dark.
Yeah,
So,
there's not enough hugs you can give out to wipe that shit off.
So I'll also be doing some classical Bowie dueling just to kind of lighten the mood and
Nice,
That's
nice.
always
play
fun.
with something a little different.
Little dirty tricks here and there.
Yeah. We'll definitely be doing some of that. Just like I said, not to fill time, but not
Just
make it
just
so.
to mix it up. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's pretty dark shit, but
Yeah, we don't want everything to be murder.
word up. I don't know if I can do both days, but I'm definitely gonna aim for with one for sure.
I'll find a way to get to New York. That's not too hard. I can make it.
So
Brian,
last time.
Brian, I've been wanting to meet you, sir, for 3 years now. I'm gonna get a chance to meet you in New York. It's amazing.
Awesome. I look forward to it. So one last time. Any questions from anybody? Because I got a house closing in 20 minutes. Well, not a house closing, but I've got to go over the contract before we close for things that they need to get repaired before I sign on the dotted line.
You guys want to take a group pick, or you want to not take a pick?
I just want to say thank you for everybody's time, and especially Brian Canada's.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Thank you for letting me ask
quick.
questions. You let me ask
Thanks so
questions
much.
because they're honest. Thank you.
Yeah,
Frank,
thank you,
Jonathan, you
Brian.
guys want to get on camera so we can take pics?
Yeah, sounds good. Congrats on the house too, man.
I'm gonna
Oh, thank
need
you,
just
thank
a
you.
second. I don't think you want to be taking pictures of my bathroom.
I mean,
You can
Be
blur the
funny, but-
background. You can blur it. You can blur it.
we'll give him a minute.
We're not in that big of a rush. Brian's the man. See, Brian doesn't rush. He wants to make sure everybody's got everything down right. I love it. You're the man, dude. I'm so happy today. You made my whole day with this class. I was having a rough day until this.
I've been doing that thing from last time, leading with my fist, not leading with the stick.
Oh,
I like
it changes things dramatically when you
For
start
real,
to learn
like-
to do that.
all the way.
Yeah.
When you learn to do that, it changes everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if
Um,
I were still fighting, this would definitely change up my game quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
My last Warfield was 2013 because I can't call into work broke anymore. Okay, I'm good for the picks. If
That's the year I was knighted. I had to double check.
nice.
All right. Everybody ready? Big cheesy smile. All right. And I'll put that in I'll send that out to everybody.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for everything. Really, really amazing seminar.
I hope this material helps. Yeah, I really wish. I love doing Zoom seminars because I get to reach out to all of you. We get to do things that otherwise we wouldn't normally be able to do. But getting everybody together in a room at the same time and physically teaching, there's a difference. And it's one of the reasons I keep my seminars so inexpensive when I do them online, is because I don't believe you're getting the full value of what you should get, because it's a lot of conversation and it's very hard to make corrections.
I'm ready for the Star Trek teleporters.
Hell yeah. Or holodecks, something.
There you go.
But, one of the things COVID is what forced me to start doing Zoom. And honestly, I love the fact that I've been able to do this, because I'm getting to share this with so many people and hopefully shatter a lot of illusions about what people think about FMA and how to improve what they're doing and take it to a new level.
Yeah.
Plus a lot of simplification where you can see more extraneous stuff when they start adding on unnecessary stuff for
Yeah. I mean, disarms are great. Okay. All the bajillion, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And actually, there are only 3 disarms. But my favorite disarm in the world.
Break the arm.
Bang the snake.
Yep. Defang the snake. Just cut the damn arm off.
From my perspective, Brian, just having this opportunity is so great because my work schedule is so shit.
Yeah, I understand that.
Hey, baby.
All right, gang. I'm going to call it. And one other thing. If you have any questions, you go back and you review this and you think of something, reach out. Ask me questions. I will answer them. Maybe not immediately, but
he will. Honest.
Yeah, I will answer them. Because I know how these things go, and sometimes they're overwhelming, and a lot of times, man, I wonder, it pops up later. So ask. All right, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Brian. Everybody have a good Saturday and
y'all have a good weekend.
Yeah,
It's been a
Brian,
pleasure.
we're gonna get this download, right?
Yes. Download will probably be put out a little bit later because, like I said, I got to go over things with my realtor in 15 minutes. So,
Copy. All right, man. Have a great day, bro.
All right, guys. Take care. I really enjoyed it.